Hey everyone, this is Suleman. Welcome back to Artocrafter. Today we are painting something very different. A moody, expressive window scene with beautiful shadows and warm light coming across the table. Alright, let's start with the loose line sketch. I'm not chasing perfection here, just capturing the shapes and the feel of the scene. A few simple angles for the table, a gentle tilt for window frame. That's all the perspective we really need. These lines don't need to be exact. In fact, the tiny imperfections make the sketch feel more alive. See how the table edges angle slightly? That little shift adds depth without any measuring or ruler. Just trust your hand and let the lines breathe. Let's start with very loose and expressive brush strokes. For brushes, I'm using a size 8 round, and for the small details, I will use size 4. Just a few colors, but they create such a strong mood when you mix them boldly. For the darker tones around the window, I'm using French ultramarine with a touch of Payne's grey. See how quickly the mood appears. The blues instantly create the calm, quiet morning feeling. Don't worry about streaks. Don't worry if the wash is uneven. All of these little imperfections add character to the painting. Here I have mixed stronger Payne's grey with a touch of burnt umber and a dash of French ultramarine to give a darker shadow. Keep the strokes expressive. Don't fill everything flat. For the darker shadows, you need to keep the darker tone. Once the previous layer has dried, I'm adding a darker shadow to the walls. Remember, light looks brighter only when the shadows are bold. I love this contrast, the warm table against the cool blue shadows. I'm using burnt umber with yellow ochre for this wooden fruit bowl. I'm just adding the Payne's grey for the shadows. A strong mix of Payne's grey with a touch of French ultramarine for the window frame. It creates a deep, almost black tone. I'm going back into the darkest area now, just to push the depth a little more. A few streaks of Payne's grey on the tabletop suggest aged wood. It feels like a table that's lived a long, good life and served really well. I'm just re-wetting this area to loosen the pigment, then using a paper towel to lift some of the color before I reapply it, because I felt I had made this part darker than it needed to be. Once again, going back into the darkest area. This step is where the mood becomes dramatic. Add these darker tones near the edges, under the table, and around the wall next to the windows. The center should stay lighter. That's where the eye will rest. Now I'm adding the final details. A few lines on the table, a bit of texture, enhancing the shadows, some small expressive strokes around the edges. Nothing too serious, just enough to guide the viewer's eye. I'm adding a few white gel pen highlights wherever the light touches. The bowl, the table, the edges, little details that bring everything to life. And here we go. Our moody watercolor window scene is complete. This was such a relaxing subject to paint. Simple shapes, strong shadows, and a nice balance of warm and cool colors. If you enjoyed this peaceful sketch, make sure to like, subscribe, and join me again for more expressive watercolor tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, keep painting, and I'll see you in the next one.